My wife scheduled her confession. She sat me down on the couch at 7:39 on a night in March after dinner because she had a conference call at 8 o'clock. She told me she had been seeing someone from work. She said it lasted 6 weeks and it was already over. Then she said the sentence that ended my marriage worse than the affair did. She said, "I need you to hear this. Forgive me," and not make it into a whole thing. 16 years, and I got a time slot. It took me almost a month to see what she did for what it was. And when I finally saw it, it had a lawyer's fingerprints all over it. I am 47. I own a heating and air company, 2 trucks, me and one guy I trained up from nothing. Plus, my daughter answers phones in the summer when school is out. I started that company 4 years before I ever met my wife. I have crawled through attics in August in Georgia heat that would drop a mule. I do not quit on things. I did not want to quit on her. My wife sells for a drug company, territory rep. She is 43. She is good at it, and she out-earned me some years, which never bothered me one bit. Her job came with a company car, a gas card, hotel points, and 3 overnight trips a month. Remember the hotel points. Everything in this story comes back to the hotel points, back to the couch. She had her phone face up on the armrest with the screen dark and her hands folded, and she looked at me the way she looks at a doctor's office receptionist when she needs 5 minutes with the doctor and knows she is going to get it. Calm and professional. She said his name was not important. She said it was a man from her region. It started at a conference. It went 6 weeks. She had ended it herself 2 weeks ago, and she was telling me because she, quote, chose honesty. Then she laid out my options. That is the only way I can describe it. She said we could do counseling. She had already looked up 3 therapists. She said her only condition was that I not, quote, drag this out and punish her because resentment kills marriages. She said the word forgive 4 times in 12 minutes. I know it was 12 minutes because her phone lit up at 7:51 with her conference call reminder. And she looked at it and she said, "We can pick this up tomorrow. I have my call." She went upstairs. I heard her laugh on that call, an actual laugh. I sat on that couch until 11 o'clock at night with the TV off. What I felt was not rage. It was smaller and colder than that. Something in her speech was off, and I could not put my finger on it. My wife apologizes the way she sells. She had comps ready. She had 3 therapists picked. She had a timeline for how long I was allowed to be upset. This was not a woman who got caught. This was a woman giving a presentation. I slept in the guest room. That detail matters later, and not for the reason you think. The next morning, she squeezed my shoulder on her way to the coffee pot and said, "Thank you for not blowing up." That told her we were, quote, going to be okay. Then she left to go sell blood pressure medication to half the doctors in the county, and I sat in my truck in a customer's driveway for 20 minutes before my first call doing math. Here is the math that would not sit down. She said it started at a conference, ran 6 weeks, and ended 2 weeks ago. Count backward, and the whole thing lives inside January and February. There was no conference in January. The only conference she had been to was the first week of October. So either it started way before she said, or it ran way longer than she said, or both. She had knocked the truth down to a number she figured I would swallow. I did not confront her. I want you to understand why. If she lied about the length, she lied about it being over. And if she lied about it being over, then everything she was doing, the therapist, the calm, the forgiveness speech, was for something. I wanted to know what the something was. I did not hire anybody. I did not follow her. I did not need to. I pay every bill in that house, and it turns out a marriage leaves a paper trail, same as a furnace. You just have to read it. Start with the phone bill. The account is in my name. Has been since before smartphones. I logged into the carrier and exported the usage detail, which is a thing any account owner can do. And I am telling you that so nobody thinks I did anything slick. It is a spreadsheet. Every call, every text, the number, the date, the minutes. I filtered her line. Then I sorted by the number she talked to the most that was not me, her mother, or her office. There was a number with an area code from 2 states over. First appearance, February of the year before. 13 months before her confession. Not 6 weeks, 13 months, 400 and some calls. The longest one was 94 minutes. On a night, I was quoting a system for a church and got home at 10:30 and she was already asleep. Or I thought she was asleep. The phone says she hung up at 10:19. I sat in my office chair in the garage with that spreadsheet and I heard my own furnace click on and I just sat there. 13 months. 13 months is not a mistake. 13 months is a second life. Now the hotel points. I told you to remember them. Her company books her rooms, but the loyalty points go to her personal account. And years ago, she set the confirmations to forward to our shared family email, the one we use for the kids' school and the vet, because she liked me seeing her travel schedule. Somewhere along the way, those emails stopped landing in the inbox. They did not stop coming. They were auto-filed into a folder called Archive that I never had a reason to open. I opened it. 207 emails, stay summaries, points balances, thank you for your visit. I cross-checked them against the calendar she shares with me, the one with her work trips on it. Most of them matched. 14 did not. 14 nights at hotels, 40 minutes from our house. 14 nights she had sold me as work trips, standing at the door with her roller bag. Her work calendar, the one she shares with me, said nothing at all. She paid for those rooms with the points her real trips earned. That is why no card I could see ever showed a hotel charge. The first one was in February, 13 months back, same week that phone number showed up. The most recent one was 10 days before the couch. 10 days. She sat there and said 6 weeks and it is over. And the sheets from the last one were barely cold. I printed all of it. Phone export, the 14 stay summaries, the calendar. I put it in a folder from my own filing cabinet, and the folder I grabbed happened to say warranty claims on the tab. And then I did the thing I am actually proud of in this whole mess. I did not say one word to her. I took a personal day, told her I had a supply house run, and I went and sat in a lawyer's office 2 towns over. I picked a woman, by the way, divorce attorney, 20 plus years, friend of a customer of mine. I wanted somebody who had seen every trick a wife's lawyer plays from the other side of the table. I put my warranty folder on her desk and told her the whole thing. The couch, the 6 weeks, the time slot, the conference call laugh. She flipped through my printouts for a while without saying anything. Then she asked me a question that stopped my heart. She said, "Has your wife asked you to forgive her?" I said yes, 4 times in 12 minutes. She asked, "Has she gotten you to say it back yet?" I said no. And this woman, I will never forget it. She took her glasses off and she said, "Do not say that word to her. Do not text it. Do not say it in couples counseling. Do not say it at all until I tell you that you can." Here is what she explained to me. We live in Georgia. In Georgia, a judge cannot award alimony to a spouse whose adultery caused the separation. That is not a maybe. It is in the state code. Her affair, proven, kills her alimony claim dead. But there is a door out of that trap for the cheater, and the door is called condemnation. If the wronged spouse knows about the affair and forgives it, takes her back, carries on the marriage, the law can treat the affair as settled business. Condoned is the legal word for it. and a condoned affair may not bar one thing. I sat there and the room kind of tilted because the couch made sense for the first time. The scheduled confession, the therapist she already picked, the insistence that I not drag it out, the word forgive 4 times like she was reading it off a card. My attorney said I cannot prove what her lawyer told her. She said, but I have been doing this 22 years, and that speech has a billing code on it. We pulled one more record, a charge from a family law firm in the city, $400, on her personal card. I could see it because that card statement goes to the family email too. You want to know the date? 9 days before the couch. She saw a divorce lawyer first. Then she came home, sat me down, and tried to sell me the word that would have saved her alimony. And the timing finally made sense. She checked out of the last hotel and saw a divorce lawyer inside the same week. Best I ever pieced together, word had started moving in her region, and she knew it. The confession was not honesty catching up with her. It was her getting ahead of a story that was already coming. The affair was 13 months. The confession was a legal strategy, and the forgiveness she demanded was worth 4 figures a month out of my pocket for most of a decade. That is what the something was. My attorney laid out the play, and the play was patience. Do not move out. In Georgia, do not abandon the house. Do not say forgive. Do not sign anything. Do not let her provoke a fight on a phone she might be recording. Stay boring. Keep sleeping in the guest room, which, my attorney said, actually helps us because it marks the separation starting the night of the confession before anybody could claim I condoned a thing. I told you that detail would matter. So for 19 days, I lived in my own house like a polite tenant, and I watched my wife perform a reconciliation. She booked the counselor herself and texted me the appointment like a calendar invite. She started cooking things I like. She left her phone face up on purpose now, and every few days, gently, professionally, she would circle back to the ask, have you thought about where you are with forgiveness? I am not asking you to forget. I am asking you to forgive. Even my mother forgave my father, and he was worse. I gave her nothing, not cold, not warm. I said things like, I hear you, and I am still processing. My attorney gave me those. They mean nothing in a courtroom. It was the strangest 3 weeks of my life, watching her sell, watching her wonder why the sale was not landing, watching her check her phone after every conversation like she was reporting numbers to somebody. Maybe the therapist, maybe her lawyer, maybe him. I went to exactly 1 counseling session because my attorney said refusing outright could get spun as me abandoning the marriage. So I sat in a beige office with a box of tissues nobody touched, and I watched my wife cry for the first time since the couch. Real tears, on cue, at minute 5. She told the therapist she took full responsibility and then spent the rest of the hour explaining the pressures of her travel schedule. And near the end, she reached over, took my hand, looked me dead in the eye and said, I just need to hear that you forgive me, even if we still have work to do, in front of a witness. My attorney had warned me that exact play could happen, and I still almost fell for how natural it sounded. I looked back at her and said, I am not there. The therapist wrote something down. My wife let go of my hand, and for half a second, before she caught it, I watched the sales rep come back. The look you give a customer who was supposed to sign today and did not. We never booked a second session. She told her mother counseling failed because I refused to participate. She was not wrong. Her mother called me 2 nights later. I like her mother, believe it or not. Sweet woman, married 40 years to a difficult man. She said, honey, everybody falls down once. She said, I forgave worse. She said, you two have too much history to throw away over one mistake. One mistake, singular. And that is how I found out my wife's version of the story, the one going out to the family, was still 6 weeks, and one man and one mistake. Her own mother did not know it was 13 months. I did not correct her. I just said, I appreciate the call, and I wrote the date and time in the notebook my attorney gave me, because by then I was documenting the pressure campaign the same way I document a warranty dispute. The one that almost broke me was my daughter. She is 14 and she is sharp. One night she asked me, straight out, why does mom keep being so nice to you? Not why are you fighting? Why is mom being so nice? Even the kid could smell the pitch. I told her as much of the truth as a kid her age can handle. I said, your mom and I have some grown-up problems, and none of it, not 1 ounce of it, is about you. She nodded and went back to her homework. She did not ask again. She was on the porch when her mother came home with the envelope, but I am getting ahead of myself. Day 20, my attorney called and said, we are ready. She had done it all quiet. The phone records subpoena ready. The subpoenas for the hotel folios drafted for the day we filed. The process server booked. She asked me one last time, on the record, is there any part of you that wants to reconcile? And I thought about the 94-minute call while I was under that church quoting a unit in the dark. I said, no, ma'am. My wife got served at 2 o'clock on a weekday afternoon in the parking lot of her office, which was not spite. It was just where the server found her. Complaint for divorce, grounds, adultery, alongside the standard language, and writing along with it, a letter from my attorney to the lawyer she had already hired, listing what we were prepared to prove. Not the proof, just the list. 14 hotel stays, itemized by date, a phone number, itemized by call count, her lawyer's consult date, referenced. She came home that night and the sales rep was gone. Finally, 13 months and 20 days later, I got to meet the actual woman, the one who slammed the garage door hard enough to knock a level off its nail, the one who called me vindictive and cruel and, this is real, unforgiving. She stood in the living room where the couch speech happened and screamed, one mistake for a few weeks of my life, and you are burning down 16 years. And I finally said the only sharp thing I said out loud through this entire divorce. I said 13 months. The number stopped her like a wall because she knew right then that I had not been processing for 3 weeks. I had been reading. She went quiet, picked her phone up off the armrest, and went upstairs to make a call I was not supposed to hear. I could hear the tone of it anyway. It was not an apology to anybody. It was a status report. The deal fell through. What followed was 10 months of exactly what her first speech promised me would happen if I did not forgive fast. A dragged-out, punishing divorce, except she was the one dragging. Her attorney demanded temporary alimony while the case ran, filed a motion saying she was the primary caretaker who had, quote, sacrificed career advancement for the family. My wife, the territory rep with the company car, and the top seller trips, who out-earned me 2 of the last 5 years. My attorney answered that motion with a 1-page income comparison and the 14 hotel dates. The temporary alimony came back denied. Discovery was where her whole position bled out. Her phone records matched my spreadsheet. The hotel folios matched the family email. 2 of the folios had incidental charges for 2 guests at breakfast, which her attorney tried to fight and then quietly stopped fighting when the hotel confirmed the second key card. There was no version of the timeline where the affair had not caused the separation, because we could show the guest room started the same night as the confession, and the confession came 10 days after the last hotel bed. Cause and effect, dated in triplicate. Her deposition was month 5. I was not in the room, but I got the transcript, all 140 pages of it. My attorney asked her plainly, did you tell your husband about the relationship on that night in March? And she said yes. Asked her what word she used to describe it, and she said, I told him I had an affair. That single sentence closed the trap. In Georgia, the alimony bar needs the adultery proven, and there is no better proof than her own mouth under oath. Her lawyer tried to walk it back into an emotional affair that became physical later, and my attorney just put the hotel dates on the record, one by one, 14 times, and asked if she disputed any of them. Page 91, she stopped disputing. Mediation, month 7. Big table, bad coffee. Her side came in still asking for alimony, 4 figures a month for 8 years, plus half the appreciation on my company since the wedding. The company I started 4 years before I met her. My attorney let her lawyer finish the whole speech. Then she slid one page across the table. It was the Georgia Code section on alimony, with one sentence highlighted, the one that says, "A spouse whose adultery caused the separation shall not receive it." Under that, our exhibit index. Under that, one handwritten line. She said it first, meaning the affair, out of her own mouth on our couch, which I had testified to in my deposition, and she had already admitted to in hers. Her lawyer asked for a break. 20 minutes later, the alimony demand was gone. Not reduced, gone. The rest settled without much fight because she was out of leverage. The house sold. We split the equity down the middle, which is fair, and I have no complaint. She kept her retirement. I kept mine. She got half the appreciation argument on my company, knocked down to a small buyout number once her leverage died, and I wrote that check with a smile because it was 1/3 of 1 year of the alimony she planned on. She kept the company car until the company took it back, because a month after the divorce finalized, she lost the territory. Word travels in a sales region. The man, in case you are wondering, regional trainer, married too. His wife found out all at once and from a stranger. He did not leave his marriage for her. Last I heard, he transferred to another region, and my ex-wife hates hotels now. The final order came through in February, just shy of a year after the couch. No alimony. By operation of the exact statute her forgiveness campaign was built to dodge. My daughter lives with me during the school year. That was not a war either. Her mother's calendar did most of the arguing for me. 6 weeks after the decree, she texted me, "Not an apology." To this day, never an apology. She needed a co-signer on an apartment lease because the divorce, quote, wrecked her finances, and she said, and I am reading it to you word for word, "I think after everything, helping me get on my feet is the least you could do." After everything, the least I could do. I did not type a word back. I put the phone in my jacket, got in my truck, and went and quoted a new furnace for a young couple with a baby on the way. And that furnace, I gave them a good price. See you in the next one.